The Millennium Development Goals have really been important for global public health and development. What's your perspective from the government side of things about where we're going in the post-2015 development?
To say we've won the war against HIV/AIDS is wrong, and so we have to battle complacency when we've made success. We certainly have to have HIV on the agenda post-2015. What do you think civil society is thinking about this? Because we talk about this development framework, and maybe we can talk a little bit about some of the mechanics for getting there. But it would be great to hear what other voices around the civil society is saying about this.
The big concern about civil society is whether or not there is going to be an AIDS-specific goal. And we were really lucky not only having an HIV-specific Millennium Development Goal, but then with UN declarations from the high-level meetings on HIV and AIDS, that was even further delineated. And so we had goals on reduction in sexual transmission and transmission by drug use, and targets for getting by 2015, 15 million people on treatment. But I think we don't know, for example, whether or not there's even going to be another high-level meeting.
I'm guessing that there won't be a series of health-specific goals in the framework. I think it's highly unlikely there would be a specific HIV goal, but I think there are lots of opportunities for making sure this stays on the agenda, be it as sub-targets under goals or indicators across a series of goals. I think it suggests we've got to do a lot of work between now and 2015, accelerating progress. This new WHO guidance suggests 25 million people need treatment. We've got the target of 15 by 15. We should overshoot that. We must overshoot that 15 by 15.
Your comments have just generated three questions in my mind. Is do you think we're going to have another high-level meeting on HIV? The next, in terms of funding, the Global Fund, we have a replenishment meeting coming up in December in DC. What's that process going to be, and can we expect the Global Fund to continue to be funded at a level where we can reach the goals and the need that we need for HIV? And then the third thing is intellectual property rights. We wouldn't be where we are today with over 10 million people on treatment if it weren't for compulsory licensing, parallel importing, and generic availability of ARVs. But yet we have all of this pressure on bilateral, regional trade agreements. How are we going to ensure that those trade agreements don't interfere with our ability to get not only first-line drugs continued to the people who need them, the 25 million people who need them now, but the second and third-line drugs, which people are starting to need very seriously in Africa and other places.
On the first one, in terms of will there be another high-level political moment, and I don't know the answer to that, but I think it's our job to make sure we keep this on the political agenda. You talked about financing, and it's crucially important, and we've got a number of big players in this sphere, but two giants in the sphere, and one is is the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, the US government's bilateral contributions to tackling HIV and AIDS globally, but also its contributions to the Global Fund. And I'm personally very proud that the United Kingdom government, the General Assembly this last month, announced £1 billion, $1.6 billion for the next 3 years to the Global Fund. We know how to invest money much better now than we did 10 years ago. We can invest strategically. We can get beyond the tyranny of averages. We can understand where hotspots are, hotspot geographies, hotspot communities, most at-risk populations, and invest in a much smarter way and get a much bigger return for that investment. We understand the importance of research and development. We understand the importance of innovation, but going beneath that and understanding where the main sources of finance for research and development are coming from, thinking about whether there are different ways of securing that innovation in a way beyond sort of the patent system that we have now. I think it's important. You've had a lot of experience of working on issues around stigma and discrimination, so it'd be great for me to hear a little bit about your sort of history and journey of this, and talk a little bit about the the Stigma Index.
Stigma Index trains people living with HIV to talk to other people living with HIV or at risk for HIV about how they experience stigma, how their life experiences as a sex worker or a drug user or a gay man impacts their access to information, care, and support, how it drives them underground, about how it makes them feel like subhuman people, and interferes with their ability to seek treatment. And then it attempts to also look at laws, community practices, public norms that are working in synergy with this stigma, and tries to come up with recommendations to change laws or change public perceptions or change business or governmental practices so that men who have sex with men, drug users, sex workers, are not driven away from the information, the testing, and the treatment that they need to, know their status, get access to medications, and know how to not spread HIV if they have it. And I'm really excited that in the U.S. now we've formulated a national steering committee that we've pretty much identified and soon will be publicizing several either cities or regional areas where we're going to do this stigma research.
Right.
What do you think is different about this World AIDS Day, both within the UN setting, but globally, and what do we have to look forward to?
So for me, I guess there are a number of things. I mean, I think the fact that we're at this moment where we have an opportunity to really push, a big push, an acceleration to 2015 on a couple of things, on treatment of elimination of mother-to-child transmission. I think we've got a moment to talk about that, so we should be pushing that. I do think we have to continue to talk about tackling HIV/AIDS as an entry point for issues of social justice and human rights. This is not this medical intervention alone. So we can't stop now. We must not stop now. We want a very successful global fund replenishment. We want better, more strategic investments. And we want a post-2015 development agenda that learns the lessons from the past 15 years and really positions this to dare to talk about an end of AIDS by 2030.
Right.